Hey, welcome to Inspiration Station, where we build a sanctuary for your creative spark together. I'm Karina Pardis, a composer, activist, chocoholic, and self-care mom, and I'm so glad you're here. This is a place for you whenever you need encouragement or a reminder to believe in you. Today is a day for affirming your worth, your ability to create and dream and grow, to know you are loved and can find belonging as you are right now, to believe in your own enoughness. It's important to remind yourself of these things regularly, in good and hard times. But just like you don't plan for a fire escape at the first sign of smoke, we need to establish now, before the struggle, that when you are struggling, it doesn't mean that you're failing. Today we're going to talk about one of the most important things central to any creative or human work: asking for help. Kate Northrup, who's the author of Do Less, said, "Having a need and needing help is not a sign that you're weak. It's a sign that you're human." We're going to talk about our humanness. We're going to talk about how to extend our full humanity to ourselves in those moments that we need help. And we're going to create together an asking for help emergency plan, because it's important to be able to know what you're going to do in an emergency before the emergency happens. I don't know if you had things like this from where you were growing up as a kid in school, but I grew up in Colorado, and so we had tornado drills all the time at school. It was both a little scary and a little silly at the same time, because they kept trying to make it a big deal to help you understand that this is an important thing to practice and to learn and to be able to do whenever you needed it. But at the same time, you're walking into a room with a textbook, kneeling against a wall in child's pose and putting the textbook on top of your head. And kneeling there for, I don't know, as a kid it felt like hours. It was probably only 5 minutes. And I remember thinking how silly that was. What is the point? Now, I learned the point when I was in 4th grade, when we were coming in from recess, and I looked out the window and I saw a tornado up the street. And I told my teacher, and we immediately knew what to do. And we were able to go to that room and put the books on our heads, which I honestly don't know if it would have done anything. The tornado never came to the actual school. It was in the neighborhood right across the street, and it took a few roof tiles off, and it was only an F2. There was not a whole lot of damage that was done. But in my child mind, after that moment, every cloud looked like it could be a tornado. But I wasn't scared of any of that, because now I understood what the point was of the emergency plan that we had, and I knew how to do that plan. It's the same thing with fire escape plans or with earthquake drills, and it doesn't just have to be a natural disaster. When I was pregnant with our kids, we came up with our hospital plan. We want to take the fear out of asking for help. We want to create a plan that we can all do, that we can recognize, and that we can put into place at the first sign of smoke, at the first sign of the tornado cloud. This is not something that we're doing at the first sign of weakness, because remember, asking for help and having a need is not weakness. We're going to create this asking for help emergency plan that we can enact at the first sign of need. And to need is human, it's allowed. So let's get into it. Step 1, define your need clearly. If you don't know what you need, it's really hard to ask for help. And it's really hard for the people who want to help to know how to help, because nobody knows what you need. So defining that in clear terms. Step 2 is writing down why this need matters to you. The reason why I encourage for you to write down why the need matters is because this can help you to not apologize for your need when you're asking for help or to trivialize it. Your needs aren't trivial. You don't need to apologize for needing something. If you're used to apologizing, something that I have found for myself that really helps to get over that is to replace "I'm sorry" with "thank you." So, for example, instead of "I'm sorry that I'm late" or running behind, you can instead say, "Thank you so much for waiting for me. I really appreciate that." Because being late happens sometimes. Step 3, understand the cost of not asking for help. What will happen if you don't ask? Is it that you'll just be frustrated and this task is going to take so much longer and you're going to get really upset? It just becomes an inconvenience? Or is it something that will never get done if you don't ask for help? Is it something that's going to put your project or your career in dangerous circumstances? Is it going to make you feel alone, like you don't belong somewhere if you don't ask for help? There's lots of different costs. It can be a physical cost. It can be an emotional or mental cost. Outlining these costs can help you understand what is at risk and what are you willing to risk. Something important to recognize here is something that Brené Brown said, a shame and vulnerability researcher, and she said, if you can't ask for help without self-judgment, you cannot offer help without judging others. This one is hard for me sometimes because it's easy to apologize. It's easy to think, I shouldn't need help for this. I should be able to just do it by myself. But that judgment on you will always be played out on others when they also ask for help. And so expanding your humanity to show this is allowed. If they are allowed to ask for help, so am I allowed to ask for help. It has to be a consistent application of non-judgment for it to actually be non-judgment. Step 4 builds off of this to hold generous assumptions of yourself and of others. We know from the trust tree episode that generous assumptions is part of trust. Asking for help includes trust. Trusting yourself that you know what you need and that you can get access to help for what you need, and trust in others that there will be someone to help you. And so step 5 is to actually do the asking. You can ask the people from within your trust tree. You can also ask for help from your flower bed friends. These are your support circle. And if no one in your support circle is able to get you the help that you need, then you can ask these people for help in asking for help where you need it. I know it sounds very Inception-esque to ask for help in order to ask for help, but I've done this before. There was something that I had to do for a music project that I was like, yes, I can do that. And then I started getting into it and I was like, oh no, I can do these parts of it, but not all of it. And I need to be able to deliver on all of this. And I knew of someone that could help, but I didn't know them directly. And so I went to a good friend of mine who I would consider to be one of my flower bed friends, and they were able to open access to something that I of myself didn't have access to in order to get that help. In a society that glorifies individualism, we've lost the true meaning of it takes a village. There is an importance to community that we have within us. We know about it, but there are many ways that we've lost it. This emergency plan really helps us tune back in to our roots of what that community is, and not only how we can participate in it, but how we can benefit from it and why we need it. We as human beings need each other. We need social connection. Without it, we don't survive. And I'm not saying this to sound dramatic. This is the facts. Through the ages, without true connection, we don't last very long at all. And understanding that need for community and really leaning into it in your life does not remove your ability to be an individual. It doesn't replace any of that. It enhances it. So to recap, here's your asking for help emergency plan. Step 1, define your need clearly so that you understand what it is that you need. 2, write down why this need matters. Do not apologize for it. Do not trivialize it. Do not compare it to other people's needs. Your need is allowed. Step 3, understand the cost of not asking for help. Step 4, hold generous assumptions of yourself and others, that you are allowed to have a need and they want to help. To assume that they want to help you is generous and probably more accurate than its opposite. And then step 5, ask. Ask within your trust tree. Ask within your support circle. Ask them for help if you need to go outside of your support circle to get access to the help that you need. I believe that success does not happen in a personal vacuum of your own abilities. You are capable of succeeding far beyond anything that you can imagine. And it is because of the community that surrounds you, that you are building around you, and that you are actively engaged in, that you will be able to do so. I believe that as you create space for self-compassion within yourself to recognize that your needs are allowed, not only will you be able to get help for those needs in a way that is more impactful in your life, but you will also be able to help others. I have experienced this in my own life. When I didn't allow myself to have needs, I thought I was doing a service to other people because then I could help them more because I was ignoring my own self. Don't need that, so now I have more energy to give to you, and isn't that so great? But I learned from experience that ignoring my own needs was actually cutting myself off from all of those people that I cared about. I didn't want to believe that, but there was so much more belonging available to all of us when I stopped pushing away my needs and my boundaries. I believe that humanity is powerful. It builds on compassion. It builds on empathy. It builds on passion and creativity. We each have that inside of us. And when you expand that to include yourself, you broaden your ability to extend that humanity to others in their needs. And you expand that humanity to better create art that will have a powerful impact on the world around you. I'm excited to talk to you again soon. Until then, stay creative. Here in this moment with human needs and growing dreams, there's so much out there in the world. Commercials and billboards are telling you just what to do and asking who you think you are. Which voice will you listen to?